Well, hello, everybody. I'm David Benrexy, and I'm here to introduce you to our MUFIC Songwriter of the Month for May, Ed Hunnicutt.
Pleasure to be with you. Thanks.
It's great to have you here, Ed, and I've heard you play many times, and quite honestly, you impressed me as somebody that was born singing, born with a guitar in his hand. But tell us, did you love singing as a little boy?
I did. I always did. I think when I really got serious about music, I was 12 years old. My family traveled from here to Jacksonville Beach, Florida, where my uncle had a beach house, and we went there for a week one summer. While we were there, he had a ukulele, and we'd sit on the front porch looking out over the beach, and he knew about every three-chord song there was. So by the end of the week, he'd been able to teach them to me, so I was hooked on ukulele and singing. And on the way back to South Carolina, we stopped at a mall somewhere along the way, and there happened to be a music store there, so I taught my parents into buying me a ukulele. So went back home with that, and that maybe lasted a week, and I went to a pawn shop and bought a real guitar. So
What'd you get?
Graduated, a Stella.
Wow.
Stella guitar. And so I was 12 years old at that time, and then by the time my 13th birthday rolled around, my mom and dad got me an electric guitar and an amp.
What was that?
That was a K guitar, another classic, right? And a little, remember the Tweed amps, Fender, this really smallest Fender Tweed amp, I think. And started a band, soon we were on the teen club circuit, and I graduated R&B eventually, where a wise old guitar player one time told me, he said, if you want to make money, you got to play in R&B bands around here. And he was right, so we played frat parties and all that through high school and college.
Whose music did you gravitate towards?
Early on, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Van Morrison. The later years with the R&B, that was, Temptations, Four Tops, Percy Sledge, God, any number of them. Otis Redding especially.
Did you do When a Man Loves a Woman?
Oh, yeah.
And you brought the house
I wasn't
down?
a singer then. I was a guitar player. We had singers out front,
Okay.
how the bands
Okay.
used to do. So, great times though.
Now, did any of your bands play original material?
Not at that time.
How'd you get started with that?
I got started doing that when, following playing in bands, I actually got into acoustic music, got a guitar, and I'd play solo gigs anywhere from here to Colorado to Montana. And I actually found myself in Colorado one time and hooked up with a bluegrass band and started, getting into that type of music. At that time, I started writing songs, and I never thought about what kind of songs I was going to write, but they ended up being country songs, so I guess figured that's what I was going to do. So,
Was that part of how you wound up going to Nashville then?
well, I was in Colorado. I stayed in Colorado for about a year and moved to Austin, Texas. Knocked around there with a band for a good year or so. And all that time I was writing songs, and I couldn't think of anything to do with them. So everybody in Austin said, well, for your kind of songs you're writing, you need to go to Nashville. So I did.
How long did it take for them to wear you down?
When I went to Nashville, you mean as far as getting to Nashville and getting worn down? That's kind of starts that way there. But I went to a Motel 6 and had a list. I forgot where I got it. Somebody gave me a list of publishers that might want to talk to new songwriters. So this was before cell phones, so there was a pay phone down at the end of the hall. So I had a roll of dimes, And so I called them all, and out of 100 maybe I got 10 to talk to me or see me, actually. And out of those 10, 3 said, yeah, you need to be here. You need to move to Nashville, and I'll help you. So I had a, kind of a leg up there. So went back to South Carolina where I was at the time and packed up and moved to Nashville.
Wow. And was it just you at that time, or?
Just me.
Yes.
Yeah. Young, free, and single.
Like you were in your early 20s then?
Yeah.
How long did you stay?
I stayed in Nashville for 11 years. And actually had some pretty good breaks there. There's a lot of highs and lows, but fortunately for me, the high times carried the low times. So very, very good years there. And best thing I got out of Nashville was my wife, Kathy, who was also working in the music business. And,
Wow. How'd you meet her?
I met her. She was, at the time, she was working at she was an accountant for a restaurant that right on Music Row that me and my songwriting buddies used to go there for lunch and get inspiration various ways. And I met her there, and we kind of stuck together ever since.
Did you sing to her and skyrockets
I think she
went
kind
up
of
there?
liked. I think
Yes,
she kind of liked me for
yes.
that. Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah. In fact,
beautiful.
at our wedding, I wrote a song for her, and that was the only time I wasn't scared to death. Is when I was singing that song to her during the wedding. So,
And so you've been married
30 years,
30
31
years, and you have children?
3.
Wow. One of them's going to be singing with you here today,
Yeah,
right?
Sarah Jane, my younger daughter, is quite a songwriter and singer herself. She's going to help me out on one of my songs.
So she's a songwriter too?
Yes, she is.
Oh.
She went to Belmont University in Nashville. So.
Does that bless your heart to have children?
I
that are
love it.
playing
I want to
music?
pass the torch on to her and doing everything I can to do so.
That is beautiful. I want to ask you a question here, and I forgot what it was. Oh, yes. Did you ever write a song that made you just want to jump and shout when you wrote it?
Yeah, I could say there's several occasions like that. Probably what really made me joyful in a song was when one of the artists in Nashville recorded it, like Reba McEntire, Brooks and Dunn, Mickey Gilley, Oak Ridge Boys, Willie Nelson all did songs of mine.
Wow.
So, and most of those songs were actually ones that I felt were, I knew when I was writing them that there was something there.
Did you write them with a specific person besides yourself
No.
in mind?
Really never did that. I just pretty much wrote what I thought was the best way to approach the song idea. And, I was writing for a publisher at the time, and their job was to take it and see who it matched and try to get it recorded.
Well, it sounds like you had quite a bit of success in Nashville compared to many of the people around here that went and really had a tough time. And you were there for 11 years, right?
11 years, yeah.
So what brought you back to our area?
Let's see, when I got married and we started having kids, and about that time I said, well, songwriting's good, but it's, doesn't pay all the bills, so I was looking for a way to supplement income. Got a real estate license.
Wow.
In Tennessee. So about that time, my brother, who lived here and was also in real estate, he told me, he said, I'm getting so busy, if you want to walk into an ongoing real estate business, I got it for you, so come and help me.
Wow.
So that's a great opportunity. I don't know how much you know about real estate, but getting started is the hardest part. So he gave me a leg up, and I'm always grateful for that.
Well, I know a lot about real estate. I bought a house.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Ed. You've been in real estate now for 20 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Does your songwriting and performing music ever intersect with your career selling real estate?
I don't know that it specifically intersects. I've kept doing music through the years, and if anything, that's been a source of peace and relaxation to me away from the noise of real estate.
Oh, yeah.
So that's been the most valuable thing. And occasionally I've done some real estate videos, marketing videos where I've picked up the guitar and sang a song. So we have a lot of fun with it too. So.
And you regularly play with some of the very best songwriters and performers in this area, and I've seen you play many times. Mm-hmm. How does that impact you as a performer and a songwriter?
Well, there is a wealth of talent in this town. That's one thing I was impressed with when I first got here, and of course it's grown into a pretty good music center here.
Absolutely.
Bob Tobin, David Owens, Ted McKee, all those guys are great songwriters locally that I've enjoyed playing with, and they are excellent writers. And it's fun to share the stage with them. We play some songs and we have a good time too.
Now, have you and your musical friends ever gone together to write a song? Do you ever collaborate on tunes?
Yes. In fact,
Yes?
I've done a lot of co-writing. In fact, Nashville is founded on co-writing. That's pretty much the situation there. So I would regularly have appointments to write, and especially with a big publishing company, there are writers in that publishing company, and some of them, you can't connect with everybody, but you find people that you make the connection with, and those are the people I like to write with.
Now, one last question, Ed. You've been writing songs for quite some time now. Have you found in the last few years that there's things that you want to write about that you've never written about before? Are you finding new areas that you want to explore musically?
Well, it's funny you brought that up. You know, I feel very blessed to have had the time I did in Nashville. And when I moved here, I made a connection at my church with some musicians who had a contemporary Christian band.
Oh, wow.
And so I actually ended up playing with them for 12 years and wrote a lot of that type of music. So I was blessed again with music. So
that is awesome.
Always grateful for that.
Tell us about the song you're going to share today.
I'm going to sing Coast to Carolina, and as you mentioned, my daughter Sarah is going to help me out on backup singing. I wrote that song in Nashville many years ago on one cold, sleet, sub-freezing weather day, sitting in my little one-room apartment with the heat didn't work that great anyway. So my typical morning, sitting there going through song ideas, trying to find something worthy of writing, and not having much luck on that particular day, you know, writer's block, if you will. And about that time, the phone rang. And it was my brother, who I was telling you about earlier. He was living here. And so on that cold day in February, I started complaining about the weather up there. And he said, so heck, 75 degrees here, I'm going out to play golf. So I said, man, I hung up the phone. I was really depressed then.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it for a little bit, and I said, heck, he gave me an idea for a song. And so I sat down and wrote that.
Wow. Now, you didn't pack up and move the next week, but did the song kind of draw you back to this area, plus this real estate business?
It did, and you know, even at that time that I wrote the song, I was always coming down here to play, you know, the clubs, and you know, I had a circuit set up, and this is one of my main stops and my favorite stop. And you know, when my wife started coming down with me, we actually, you know, this was several years before we actually moved here, actually said, well, you know, we'll go ahead and move there one day. And so when that opportunity came along with my brother to join him in real estate, we said, well, time's now, let's go ahead and do it. So,
Ed, it's just been a pleasure talking to you and
likewise.
And hearing about your journey, and we're really looking forward to your song.
Great, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Hunnicutt.